everyone. So thank you for joining us today. Today I have Dr. Laura Jaget with me, and you're going to learn a lot from her. Who is she and what is her background? Let me introduce her to you all.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks for having me on your show. I'll introduce myself. My name is Dr. Laura Jaget. I am a chiropractor and I practiced for 28 years. I retired at the end of 2020. And in my practice as a chiropractor, I learned a tremendous amount about the body and how people recover from it. I also had my own experience. I'm also an athlete. I was a Division I tennis player back in the day. We won't say how long ago. It was a few years ago. And right now I play a sport called pickleball. I play at the senior professional level. So I think our topic today is going to be about how your body can perform for you at a high level, even once you've reached the age of 50 or beyond. So in my experience as a chiropractor, I have seen many people recover from injury, recover from inactivity and become strong. And in my own experience, I have experienced that as well. So that's what we're going to talk about today.
Fantastic. I'm already 52. I'm going to be 53 next month. And many people ask me, should I start something when I'm already 52 and actually close to retirement? Many people, especially from the Asian ethnic background, they tend to think that when you reach a certain age, you're not supposed to do strenuous exercise. As you can see, I would say many Western society, you can see people who reach at a certain age or over 50, they are still doing cycling, they are still doing rowing, and they're still doing many high performance activity. Yeah, I would like to learn from you. Should people start doing something, pick up new skill? For example, in Taekwondo, right? A lot of kicking. Is it too late to kick?
No, it's never too late to do anything. It's never too late. And I think that the number one thing is we have to convince the mind that we can do it. So there are two groups of people. There are those that say, well, I'm over 50, so I have arthritis and there are just things that I cannot do. And then there are the other group that say, I can still do it. Now you have to be smart about it. So group 2 is correct. You can do it. You absolutely can. You might not be able to go out and do a sport as vigorously as you did when you were 18. That wouldn't be wise, but you can definitely go out there and start it. It's laying down new muscle patterns. You have to train your brain to do a certain pattern, repetition, practice. And if you have the added benefit of fun, like you're doing something because it's fun for you, I think it goes a lot quicker.
Yeah. It is. It is. Sometimes, if you like to be fun, also you may be judged by even your family members. Like for me, like when you reach a certain age, when you try to do disco, dancing and try to be wild, people say, "What are you doing?" It's like,
Yeah, again, that's the mindset. There are those who are in fear. Oh, you're going to hurt yourself. But it's because of their own fears, really. I mean, maybe they got hurt and they think, well, I got hurt, so everybody else is going to get hurt. But that's not true at all. Whatever you want to do, whether it's Taekwondo or lifting weights or playing pickleball or tennis or golfing, you can, but you have to have a little bit of intelligence about it. You have to listen to your body. It's very important to tune into your body and listen to what it's saying. That can be a little challenging because people who have never trusted their bodies, I mean, maybe some of us had parents that always said, oh, you're sick, you're this, or they've been told by doctors, well, you can't do this, this, and this. You learn to not listen to your body. You learn to tune out of that intuition. And I think that's a disservice. So, you know, if something's too much. You know if you need to sit down and rest. You know if you can do one more rep or play one more game or whatever. You know it. You need to trust yourself on that. It takes a little practice, just like any sport you want to play takes practice.
exactly. I actually found that there are two types of training theory in a way. So when I was an active athlete, we were asked to push ourselves, right? Do this, do that. You have to push. You have to go over your limit. That's how you improve, right? Like when you do carry weight, you have to go over and carry more than that you are able to carry up to a certain percentage. That normally people said that, or coaches would say that that's for strength, building endurance or building strength. When I was teaching my students, if they are a beginner, if they are a young athlete, we tend to push them a little bit more. But on the other end, you will find, or I will find, that there are other types of teaching theory where you listen to your bodies, where you do things that you feel more fun. Otherwise, you don't do it. So what do you think about that? There are two separate theory, like push, no pain, no gain. The other one's like listen to your body. You have to stop when you feel pain.
Well, there's a little bit of both. You do have to push yourself a little bit to improve. You have to go a little bit more, a little bit longer, a little bit heavier, whatever it is. But you also have to listen to your body. A lot of coaches, and I think it's improved in this day and age, but there were all kinds of crazy training techniques when I was younger, and I hope they're not doing it now, where you run somebody to the point where they throw up, or you withhold water from them until they, finish whatever they need to do. That's just very archaic, barbaric, and just stupid. You have to know a little bit about the body. I think it's a responsibility of all coaches to understand a little bit about the body and the mind. I mean, it's a very fine line, but I'm a very big proponent of listening to the body and watching. If you're a coach, you can watch your student and you can assess if you are really in tune with the human body and with what your athlete can do. You can assess if they can go a little bit more. All right. If you see that there's some serious medical signs, then you need to not push them. That is where the coach needs to have some knowledge there. Same thing with the individual. You know if you can go a little bit more, and you know if you can't. So we don't want to have a 911 situation. Sometimes you just need to take a break. Also, there's nothing wrong with taking a little break. Sometimes you just need to regroup, take a deep breath, and then go again. I mean, maybe as short as 30 seconds. That's okay. You don't have to power through it.
Yeah, that's a good advice. So we have to push ourselves so that we improve, but at the same time, we also need to listen to our body. So that takes like a wisdom, right? Don't you think? It's like wisdom to know when to start, when to stop, when to.
Right. Yeah, it does. And wisdom comes with experience. So you try some things. If it didn't work out, you may say to yourself, oh, okay, now I know where that baseline is. Now I know where my threshold is. Yeah, it takes a little bit of touch and go. But it can be learned. It has to be learned. It's not something that you know automatically, even about yourself. So don't push yourself or don't beat up on yourself if you don't get it right. You just keep going back and fine tuning it. That's what life is, right? It's just fine tuning, as well as in athletics. It's just fine tuning and improving.
Good advice, good point. And how can you find out about the wisdom? Like what is the standard or way to start or when to stop? Like how do you know when? How do you know how, especially how do you know when to push, when to stop, when to listen to your body? Like it takes wisdom, but sometimes everyone is different in terms of wisdom.
Everybody's different. Everyone is different. No one way works for maybe even two people. And people have different thresholds, as well. I look at me and I mean, I feel like I can take a lot. And I look at my kids who have not been through what I have, athletic or elsewise, and I see that their thresholds here because that's all they've gone through. That's their ceiling. That's all they've experienced in their life. Mine might be up here because I've experienced more. I know I can push through. So you have to watch them. I'm talking about my kids in particular, but this would go the same for yourself. You
Yeah.
just say to yourself,
Same for my kids.
I wonder if I can, run for one more minute. I wonder if I can play one more game. And then you try it. And let's say you didn't make the full minute. I'm going to use a minute as an example. Let's say you didn't make the full minute. Let's say you only got through 15 seconds. then you say, okay, well, I did go 15 seconds longer than I thought. Next time, I'm going to try for 20 seconds. You have a baseline now. You've reached a new ceiling that you can push through. We're always trying to push through the ceiling, but you want to push through it gradually rather than try to blast through it and potentially hurt yourself.
Wow, yeah, it is true, because when you reach a certain threshold, or you have been there, and when you're seeing your kids are still down there, you know when to push them, right? You know that pushing them may not hurt them, but actually encourage them to actually achieve
Yes.
a better
And
level, higher level.
then they can see for themselves that, wow, I did more than I thought I could. And I think it happens automatically because when we become the best at something, whatever it is, it's fun for a while. But then if you remain the best, you get bored because there's no challenge. You've reached the top of the ceiling. We're always trying to go past the ceiling. So it's fun to try to move forward. If you go to the next level and you end up getting destroyed by whatever the activity is, or if you're in competition, you were at the top, you're the biggest fish in your little pond, and you're like, well, I'm going to move up into the next pond, and you see that you're at the bottom. That's what inspires us to get better. That's what gives us the motivation to keep moving forward.
Wow. So if people who would like to start but they are afraid, what is your advice for them? They're afraid of injury.
My
They're afraid
my
of
advice
go,
is
uh,
start. My
just
advice is start, whatever it is. I don't know about Taekwondo, but let's talk about weightlifting. Let's say they want to start weightlifting or they want to start running. Start at the beginning. Let's take running. Don't go out and run a mile if you've never run a mile or you haven't done any sort of athletics in the last 30 years. Okay, I'm talking to people who are older, but this could be at any age. Start at the very beginning. If you want to run, you might not be able to run at first, but you can walk. So let's walk a mile. Time yourself. Okay, whatever it was, it took you 20 minutes. Now let's walk faster. You just try to get better and better at that level. When walking a mile becomes easy for you and you're doing it pretty quickly, let's try running half a mile. And you slowly build up from that. In my sport of pickleball, you want to play. Don't go out and play with the pros, but go down and play at a lower level and just get used to it. Don't try to kill yourself. You hear the term weekend warrior. Have you heard that expression, Sarah? It's where old
yeah,
athletes, usually men, who were great, let's say baseball players back in college or high school. They haven't done anything for 20 years. They go out and play baseball and they are playing like they're 18 years old and then they pull a hamstring and they get hurt.
yeah.
The weekend warrior. You're not 18 anymore, even though in your mind you are. So you have to listen to your body, right? You're not going to pull a hamstring if you're listening to your body and you just build up slowly. And even if you do pull a hamstring, you can recover. Don't let that sideline you. You
Like,
recover, you
yeah.
do the rehab, you figure out where it went wrong, and you don't do that again. You start again from a different position and you go forward smarter.
Wow, yeah, it's similar to Taekwondo. When people tell me that, oh, you can't do too much of this because it may break your bone, for example. I had a headline fracture when I was an athlete. So there are many side effects out of that. So I actually I'm really careful when I do certain movement. But then I realized that I cannot just let the negativity affect my
Yes,
progression. Yeah, so that's why I told myself, oh, step by step, one baby step, one step
that's
at a time.
right.
And when I build up A, then I build up B. I don't want to think too much far ahead by thinking about K, before I do number
A
B,
through J.
A to
Yes,
C and C to,
exactly.
yeah, so I have to go A to B first and then B to
Right.
C and C to D instead of going to A to K, for example, right? I
And
think,
by the way, I like that analogy that you used, A to K. Let's say K is your end goal, but you're
yeah,
only starting at A and you're looking at K saying, that is so far away. How am I ever going to get there? Now, sometimes you can, and it's happened to me, I'll see what I want to do and it's so far away, it just seems impossible that I don't even do it. But if you can ignore that urge, if you can say, I want to get to K and it's okay that I'm just at A, I'm going to hang around in A for a while until I master A. And then the next step, don't jump too far ahead. Just wait for the next step to unfold before you, and then you step. Don't try to jump a few levels because you can hurt yourself.
Yeah. So that's I like the A to K, A to B. That is actually clearer for me whenever I use that
Yeah.
to show my students. Like, what do you think about weight training? And people think that, oh, don't do too much weight training. When I was an athlete, when I was younger, like teenager, I was asked not to do too much weight. They say if you do too much weight, you're not going to grow because the weight is very heavy. You put on your shoulder for squat, and that weight will push you down, and you may not grow taller. What do you think about that? And now when you grow older, it's like, don't put on too much weight because you may develop osteoporosis.
No,
One.
no, none of those statements are true at all. And I don't want to say that whoever told you that thinks that. I think they tried to explain it in a way that you could understand, but that's not how the body works. Your body is designed to perform for you, regardless of your age. There are people who lift weights. There are huge benefits to resistance training. It causes your body to learn how to rebound. Now, the key is people get hurt because they have bad form.
Yeah.
Form is extremely important. So if you are going to do something like weight training when you're 60 or older, which is completely possible, and people do it successfully, I recommend you get someone who knows what they're doing, understands the biomechanics and the physiology of the body, and you start with light weights. Because what you're doing, let's say you're going to do a shoulder press, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, we can do this with no weight, but if we were to put 25 pounds on, let's say, and you've never done it, and you try to do it and your body does not know how to do that, you're going to get hurt because you're going to maybe engage your low back to try to push up, or you're going to, use some other muscles. The form is not going to be good. So when you are engaging other muscles that are not designed to do this motion, these never kick in. You start using the other accessory muscles, those get overworked, and that is how you get hurt. So it's a brain thing also. You are training your brain to follow a certain pattern. So you just want it to get used to doing this, and the brain finally will say, oh, we can do that. Let's add some weight, like maybe just 2.5-pound weights in each hand.
Mm-hmm.
Go through the same motion. Oh, it feels a little hard. Maybe I feel a little lopsided. Slow down, train your brain to do the same motion, follow the same path with a heavier weight. It takes a little while, but it will catch on. And once you have laid down that proper motion, I'm just using this as an example, but it could be in any sport, anything you do, form is the most important thing. Once your brain realizes that it has a pathway, even if you add weight, you have practiced this form so many times, it's going to do that form. And with the weight, it's going to engage those muscles that are already trained to do that one path. And that's how you build and get stronger. You're not going to crush your bones. If you do have osteoporosis, you have to be a little more careful. I mean, if you actually do have very thin bones, you want to be careful, but I would say you want to improve your diet also, because it's never any one thing, is it? Our body makes its own minerals with the help of food that we eat. So you want to be very conscious of what you're eating if you do have some sort of inherent weakness in your bones. But even people who have osteoporosis, maybe they can't bench 200 pounds, but they can definitely move their body through certain patterns and do it well and improve.
I like that. Yeah, that idea of brain training. You must have a proper form. The form is very important, biomechanics of the movement to prevent injury, but also at the same time, you want to train your brain by doing certain movements so that your brain is trained to do a certain movement in a proper form so that when you get to it, that you can improve better, right?
You will improve and you will reduce injury. Correct. Yes. Regardless of your age. And by the way, even young people who take advantage of their youth and health, you still want to have good form so that you avoid injury.
Yeah, that's very important. If you started with a bad form, let's say your foundation has to be good, right, in a proper
Right.
form, then it's actually help you to improve even better. If you like to go for Olympics or higher performance, the form, the foundation is very important. So that's why I always encourage a student to know how to choose your coach. That coach or coaches know how to do a proper,
Yeah.
teach you a good foundation so that you can build up from there and go for a higher level.
That's right. And even when you get injured, it's very important to, and let's say you have good form, but you got injured, to rehab properly, so that your body can get back into the proper form when you return is important. Because when you are injured, when you take a blow, or something happens, there's going to be a chain reaction. Muscles are going to seize up. The body is going to stay in that seized up position because it wants to protect wherever the injured area is. And unless you train the brain and prove to the brain we are no longer injured, we don't need to be in this position anymore, and then rehab it so that it is moving in proper position, you're going to end up, if you don't rehab it properly, you're going to end up creating bad habits. You're
Mm.
going to put excessive wear and tear on muscles that should not be doing certain motions like the original motion. They've recruited now, and you're going to get injured again. So form, proper rehab, and it's constant. You have to take care of yourself, even if you don't have an injury. If you're an athlete, regardless of your age, especially if you're over 50, though, you have to stretch out. You've got to work the muscles out, just so that can recover properly. I have to. I play professional pickleball, and I'll go out and play 3 hours, and I come home and I'm like, oh. So rather than stay like that, I've got my rubber bands, I've got an inversion table, I have lacrosse balls, everything to kind of like get those muscles soft and supple again, so that I can go out and play properly and at 100%.
Wow, wow, that's a good advice. And what do you think about mental training? Many high performance athlete or high performance business people, right? They always say that 80% mental and 20% physical. What do you think? And my children ask me about the question. Mom, is it correct? 80% mental, 20% physical? And I told them it actually depends on what stages are you in your sports career.
Um, I think the percentages they say are like 90% mental, 10% physical. And if you this is going to get a little esoteric. If many high level athletes and business people use the process of visualization. They visualize themselves in the competition before it happens, going through it in their mind, seeing themselves winning. Because if you think the future does not exist and we create the future with our thoughts, then you are creating the future. You're seeing how you want to do it. You're seeing yourself in it. You're seeing yourself hitting those shots. So you are convincing your mind that you can do it. You know how to do it. And that's half the battle. That's 90% of the battle, is convincing your mind that you can do it. And then physically, when we do it, we prove to ourselves, we're just reinforcing the brain that, oh yeah, we got it. We can do it. Also, when we have some success, you wonder why the people that get to the top stay at the top, for a long while. And it's because once they reach the top, they're like, this is where I belong. I'm number one. They believe it so much that they win. And then the people coming up will say, oh, that's the person I have to beat, or I'm not quite there yet, or I'm afraid to play them because they're at the top. So they do have that mental edge. It's across in all sports.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. Everything is about mental, but at the same time, we also need to train our physical body. It's like using
Sure.
our first physical body to tell our brain where to move or what to move or how to move.
Correct.
But at the same time, we also need to picture ourselves to create the future for ourselves,
Absolutely.
especially if we are over 50, right? When we are over
Yeah.
50, then we have to really picture ourselves where do you want to go after you reach 50.
It's true. I mean, in my sport of pickleball, a ball will come short and my brain is screaming, run. And my legs are like, no way.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it's fine. And it's not so much, Jimmy Connors, who's a famous tennis player, said it best once. He was playing a senior event, and one of the commentators or interviewers had said to him, "Wow, I noticed that you don't move so well side to side. Lateral movement is not a natural movement for the human body, so you really have to train to move well." And he said, and this is perfect, he's like, "It's not so much that I can't do it, it's that I don't want to do it," which is true. It's a lot of work to go in that direction. So sometimes we just think, yeah, I'm just going to let that go. I don't need to run that down. And that's okay. You just make it okay with yourself.
It's interesting. You say run sideways. You say human body may not want to run sideways. That is the human body,
Yeah.
natural human body movement. In Taekwondo, we learn about a lot about sideways movement because we
Yeah.
know how to move away sideways from being kicked.
Yeah.
So sideways training is actually part of our training. I have to go sideways, and there are many type of drills for sideways. Sometimes you do sideways shuffling, and sometimes you do sideways crisscrossing or zigzagging. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to train that particular motion. It's not natural. We just walk forward. We don't crisscross side to side, so we have to train it. So, I just play pickleball. I play it for fun. I don't do training like I did when I was college. I'm at it. For me, okay, I'm like, I don't want to do that. So the side to side movement is a little challenging, and I don't want to work that hard. So I'll just let that point go. You have to be okay with that.
Yeah, we just have to pick and choose and
That's
really.
right. That's right.
But you still, if you still want to be an athlete, you still can do it.
Of
For
course you
example,
can.
for example, in Taekwondo, we have Para Taekwondo, Paralympics in Taekwondo. We also have senior form competition. If for people who are over 60, over 70, there are place for you. There are place for you to compete if you want to.
Yep.
And in Taekwondo, we have the form. It's like karate, kata, pattern. You just go outside and do your routine. It's like a routine. You do your routine movement, and then you complete it, and then that's it. That's the end of the competition, and you wait for the result. So it's actually quite fun if you have the passion, if you are very competitive. Sometimes it's very hard not to be competitive when you were a competitive athlete, or you are always very competitive since you were a kid. When you reach a certain age, you are still competitive, not because you would like to compete with others. Sometimes you compete with yourself. You like to compete, you like to challenge yourself. So if you reach a certain age, especially if you are 50, if you like to compete, yeah, welcome you. I really encourage you to
No,
compete.
competition is fun. Competition is very fun, and you want to make sure that it stays fun and it's not something that causes you aggravation or ruins your day. Then it's not worth it. If you're over 50, you can compete at any level in any sport. They have a wide range, as like you said, Paralympics, you have beginners, you have advanced. There are age divisions that you can compete in against other people your own age. Don't let your age limit you. You are it's completely possible to be limitless. So do it.
Yeah, just do it. And of course, have the wisdom and do it not because you want to compete with others. Do it, you like to improve for yourself. Sometimes I like to compete with myself.
Yes, yes. And it's fun also. There's a social aspect as well. Do it for the joy of it, and your body will respond in like.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Dr. Laura Leggett, for sharing your expertise, your experience, and your skills. And I hope to see you more in the future. And for whoever like to know more about Dr. Laura Leggett, I guess you can Google search her and you find more about her, and you can follow her social media. And
Or I'll tell you
okay,
where you can find me.
yeah.
I'm Dr. Laura Jaget, and now I have a brand called How to Life, which is geared towards helping young adults learn how to maneuver and manage through adulthood, because it's scary in the beginning when you don't have these skills. So my tagline is, I help take the fear out of adulting. I have a YouTube channel called How to Life. I have a podcast called How to Life. My name is Dr. Laura Jaget. You can follow me on Instagram at Laura Jaget _ how to life, Facebook, Laura Jaget, and my website, howtolife.com.
Thank you so much, and make sure you follow her, okay? And I'll
Thank
see you
you.
next time. Bye.